Hey everybody, back again for the regular card session. Hope you enjoyed the Death Dealer Frank Frazetta based piece that I did earlier. I'm going to share this over with the page real quick, and we're going to get started right in with coloring Thin Grim, the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. Gonna be knocking this one out fairly quick. Got some Copics on site, and gonna go right into this. Let me grab the right stuff here. I like using yellows on this rather than true oranges and browns like most people do, because of the fact that I just like the colors to pop a little more. And I always color this guy this way. I have a couple of pieces that I did darker because people would ask me specifically to use browns, and I just don't like them personally. You know, the piece, not the people. Just to be clear. But yeah, it's just one of those things that people tend to over darken these things, and I don't like to do that. I like to keep it with a softer comic book animated type of feel to it, rather than just going in and coloring everything, to where it would look like in a movie or something, because that's not what comics are about. Comics are a separate medium within themselves, and it's not about getting all that going in that way. So I prefer to do them this way, where they pop out and look classic and just make you want to smile, kind of thing. Even action comics should make you smile. If they don't make you feel good and make you feel enjoyment, what the heck are you reading them for? You know what I mean? And I just love coloring this dude because he's so easy to do, because you go in with the base color, and it can get a little eccentric if you go, too deep into it, but I like to keep it at 3 or 4 colors max, to keep it from getting muddy and washing out. And like I said, I'm not going all the way to the edges on these because I want them to stand up and reflect a little bit of light, and it tends to make them look a little more organic when you don't go all the way to the edge for some reason, which is kind of funny because most rocks aren't reflective, but it still makes it have a lighter edge to it, that it brightens it up a bit. So, and I just got private messaged. I sound tired. If I do, it's because I did 4 pages today, including the or not including the Death Dealer piece earlier, and I've still got roughly 5 cards to do this evening on that set that I'm doing as well, to knock those out. So it's been a busy day. It's been a busy day. First week of January 2018, and hammering it out, getting it done. This is the way we make it go. And I've still got to color a page of my webcomic tonight as well. That's just going to be on the board till after dinner. So, crazy stuff. People ask me all the time about how I draw so fast, because I claim to do, 3 to 5 pages a day. Well, like I said, earlier, if you saw the Death Dealer piece, I mentioned it, and I've mentioned it a couple of times before. It's not bragging at all. It's just a system. Okay? I don't want anybody to think I'm bragging, because I'm not. What I do is I go in, sit down, do the thumbnails for the entire book. Okay? And I do this for multiple titles at one time. I sit in with 3 or 4 different scripts, do all the layouts for 1 or 2 scripts at a time, and then I'll take a little bit of a break, and then I'll come back and do 2 or 3 more scripts. during that day. And that'll be it for all I do for that day. Then the next day of the week, I'll come in and I prep out all the layouts, and I go in and I lay out an entire book. And sometimes I get to 2, but I go in through the rest of the week laying out those entire books. So they're on the whole 25 plus pages, all completed. All the thinking's done, all the storytelling's done. So then I go in and take that stack of pages like this high and go in and start penciling them. And I pencil nothing but. I pencil through one script and then pencil through the next and pencil through the next and so on and so forth. And that way I'm able to just knock out finished drawings. Like when you guys see these layouts for these cards that take about 10, 15 minutes a piece, I spend about 2 to 3 hours on average doing the thumbnail process for those couple of scripts that I do in a day. And then I'll go through and start editing those and make the changes that I need to make for the daily edits, which I call my process, which is where I go through and take those finished thumbnails and start knocking them all out and saying, you know, this is going to work, this is going to be out, this is going to move on, and make changes as needed. So you get the entire book laid out, you get the one-time walkthrough edit where I go through and change what I'm going to change. And then I go to pages and lay out the entire book. And the reason I lay out the entire book is so that I have it on my desk ready to go. And then I move into the process of doing the finished penciling, and that's where I get to do all the fun stuff like I do here. Because when you see me do these layouts, takes about 5 or 10 minutes a card, maybe. And that's stressing if I can't get, you know, a layout that I feel comfortable with. It normally takes 2 or 3 minutes because I go in and sketch it out real quick and then I'm done, because I don't like to procrastinate on it, and I'm a perfectionist. And if I don't do it that way, if I don't do it quick and then just say done, then I'll go back and pick the thing apart and it'll drive me crazy. But I go in, lay the piece out, and then I'm done with it, you know, and then I have a stack of pages to work on the rest of the month. And everybody's like, well, how do you do that? Well, I just told you, you know, I go in and knock it out that way. That way I have it done. And when I start penciling, that's all I'm able to do because of the fact that the book's ready to rock and roll. So, you know, that's the whole point behind that. And a lot of people freak out about that, saying, you know, well, how can you do so many pages in a day? Well, you guys just saw me working an hour and 11 minutes from layout to almost finished piece. If I just spend another 20 minutes on it, I've been done. Granted, it wasn't a full-fledged comic book page, but it's still there nonetheless. So, you know, you got to think about what's going on with it and what's being done in the process. So, because, I mean, you see how I lay out almost a full page. Oh, I'm checking on who's on. Hey, Duncan, Noel, thanks for being back, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's one of my favorites, too. He is my absolute favorite. I have one of the coffee mugs, one of the plastic sippy cup mugs of the thing, and he still has the white and blue on his eyes, and it's classic. Richard, you popped on again, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for stopping by, sir. I'm going to get to a Conan for you after I do this Death Dealer piece and finish it up. They should do a thing with claws and call it a weapon thing. How awesome. Hey, Ruben, thanks for coming on, man. Just taking a minute to say hi to everybody because I didn't get to say hello to everybody earlier, because I was so pressed for time and I wanted to get a lot of that done. And I had about an hour to get that Death Dealer piece done. But yeah, this is just going to pop up really quick. I'm using a Y17 and this is a Y19, which is a little bit darker. As the numbers go up on Copics, they get a little bit darker. I'll go to this side first. Very cool. I love the way these things work. It's just very forgiving, very cool stuff. But yeah, this is part of the reason I got sidetracked off of that is because I wanted to change gears, because, you know, I get asked about that and that's the way it goes. Okay. So that answers that question. I hope it does for everybody. If you don't get it, you can private message me and I'll talk with you some more about it. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, this card is part of my Fantastic Four set that I am working on. The Fantastic Four versus Galactus, which I am doing the final coloring on. There's Ben and Johnny are left, Airwalker's left, and then after that I've got the Silver Surfer and Galactus left to color up. I'm not sure if there's anybody left after that or not. I think I got them all. But the Terrax that I did the other day is part of that. And Reed Richards is part of that as well. So that's definitely part of that set. And they are set and structured to go around it. So the Galactus piece is a 2-card piece in the middle. And this one was built up around it as one of the cards, because it's got the 2-piece in the middle, and then it's got the Fantastic Four in either corner, and it's got the Heralds like that parallel to it. So it's a massive set of cards. And I just did that series to run because I wanted to do something pertaining to the Fantastic Four, because I love this series. Still to this day, Fox or otherwise, I still dig the Fantastic Four. And now that Marvel has them back, I don't know what Disney's going to do with them, but we'll see. Maybe they'll get the mainstream universe in phase 4 or 5 of whatever they're doing, you know, over at Marvel. And DC coming in on the back burner now with that negotiation coming off the table. Who knows where they'll go? So, because Disney is still talking about having, out of their news desk on their website, they're still talking about coming over to do negotiations with Warner Brothers, and they're bragging about it. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. If they get into a negotiation with them for a crossover, I'm going to tell you people, expect a hostile takeover real quick. This is going to be a Y35 here that I'm going to be using for the dark one. Expect a hostile takeover by Disney within the next 5 years. If Warner Brothers is dumb enough to get in bed with them, they will take them over. I mean, like I said, I'm not bashing Disney or anything. I seem to be on that today because of Black Bolt coming out, and the artwork looking so bad. I don't know what the thing is there. It's horrible. Horrible. Now I'm just going a little bit darker with this one because I just want to do some of this lower stuff with this one and dab it in and make a dark spot here and there to offset the next color that I bring on. But yeah, it's strange, man. There's a bunch of stuff going on in mainstream comics, and it's changing the industry, and everybody seems to think that it's going to be a good deal, and I'm not on that bandwagon. I'm really not. Now I know I'm just doing the lower part there because I want to go ahead and bring in this darker one. And I know I said I don't do browns too heavy, but I want to leave this lighter for this to come out as a shade. This is going to be a shade color. This is a YR23, which is a yellow red. And I'm going to be doing some of this just in the center here for popping it up. Now it will dry a lot lighter than this, so don't get me wrong, it's not going to be a brown. It is in fact a yellow. But it'll add that rock look to him as we go along here. And I tend to put it on the lower side. Rather than just saturating everything from one side, I like to put it on the lower side because I don't want it to take over the entire middle color. And I want it to be a shadow effect, not a core color. Get my big fingers out of the way here. You know, Jaden, I do this all the time, man. I do this all the time. I have a full set of these things, and I love Copics. But I like using pencils, too. I use pretty much everything. I know what works for you, and go for it. Don't really be concerned with, going all in with just Copics. Don't isolate yourself to that, because I don't hardly ever use just Copics. I use everything. And I use Copics a lot within other stuff that I'm doing. So that's part of what makes them pop up, is you use your Copics for a base and for color-rich colors that you need to saturate that you can't get to work otherwise, and then move into your other stuff like your pencils or other marker brands, and you'll find out that they work really, really well with other things. So don't get just to where you isolate yourself with Copics, because these things are very expensive to use, and if you don't have money for refills or replacements, and I have a full set, so I've been very blessed with that, and I've just got a full set I've had for a couple of years, and they still haven't run out on me, knock on wood, hopefully they won't, but they still haven't run out on me yet. And I'll tell you what, be gentle with them, because they'll last a lot longer. You don't have to press and saturate everything with them. They're a very stout color formula, and you don't have to go in and overuse them to death to get the effect you want, because I'm barely touching this and it's coloring up everything that we need for this piece. Get inside the eye there. I get asked to, how do you keep from getting lost on the colors? Well, I don't. It happens once in a great while, but I tend not to miss anything or leave anything unturned. I go over it in waves and phases and then move up, like I'm doing the head here, because I didn't do that side of the face on that side of the smoke. I wanted to go ahead and do it so that I didn't miss anything. And then I'll go back over and retouch, and I double touch some of the spots, but that's okay to make sure that they're still there and still colored in like they're supposed to be. But I don't miss much because of the fact it's just a system that I have for it. See, I got pretty much everything there. Now, I do have a light one, a light flesh tone that I like to use, an E11. I like to go in to give some of these warm spots on the bottom, but I'm very cautious about where I use them. I just like to hint every couple of rocks, not the whole thing, because then it'll make it look too dark. But this adds the flesh tone in the mix. It's an E11, which is basically a flesh pack. It comes in one of 6 called Chow that you can get. Some people call it CO, but I call it Chow. But whatever you want to call it. Like I said, don't go into every one, just go general. And add in this extra little kick, and it will bring out the human element of Ben's skin in his rock form, which not enough people do. Everybody wants to keep him the yellow rock, and the thing is that this is supposed to be a mutated man, so make him feel alive a little bit, you know what I mean? Now, I have a little bit warmer one, which I use as well, same way, E13. Now, this one is a little more of a brown. You got to be careful with this one, because I don't like using a lot of these. But what I do is go in and accent the low points that would be shaded and make those pop out a little more, and it gives them just a little bit more weight. And that's the whole point of that. Don't go overkill with it. Just hit it in a couple of spots and move on. Because if you go monkeying with it too much, you will ruin it. And see, this can be just put in at random. You don't even have to make a big deal out of it. Just coat it and get out. But you'd want to put it where you're going to put heavyweight shadows or bigger pieces of rock, like under these edges kind of thing. Making sure I'm still on camera here. Just like this, just get in and get out. Don't do heavy spots. And now the big piece, I'm going to do something because I want to show this, because like I said, I don't like to do big browns on here, but because it's something you guys need to see and I want to help you with it. Check this out. Just go in like this. This is a heavy brown, okay? This is a really heavy brown, and we do not want to screw this up. So right where you would do like heavy shades, come in and add just a little bit like that. If you want to add some weight to his brow or whatever, you know, come in and put something like that to make him pop off and shift a little bit. And you can make some of it like this for his, like the undershadow of his nose, and like right here under his lip. But do not go hammering this down, because it will screw this up 10 ways from Sunday. And I do mean burn it up. Okay? Just add it for accent on a couple pieces like that to light it up, so you can show the contrast and then book around. Because see, this is getting a little darker than what I wanted to. But like I said, I want to show people how to use them, just in case, so they don't mess up their artwork. Because some people will go in and say, well, you know, I like the brown and it needs to be darker and blah 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 blah. Well, this is why you don't go overkill with this stuff, because it'll bite you in the butt big time. Like I said, these things will overtake very quickly. You see, like right there in that ridge, and then right there in the chest where the pecs separate, just a little bit, but leave it a highlight so that it doesn't drown it out. And then go underneath some of these heavier rocks just a little, kind of show a little shadow line on some of these things, and then get out of Dodge. Leave it alone. See, like that one side there, I almost got carried away and did 3 or 4 pieces, and I don't want to do that. It's very easy to get engulfed. And like right under this collarbone, I want to go right there to show where that movement goes, right up underneath this neck. Come down around here real slim like. Like there's a fold there. Go back up under this side like there's a fold, like it's a moving part, like it's shadow. And that's it. I'm going to leave it alone because I don't want to mess with it too much more. So, like I said, you can touch it with browns. Just be careful, because if you if you go shading in those rocks brown, they'll look like brown rock and it won't look like the thing, because he's got a golden edge to him that nobody else has. Okay? So now, I hope that helps with you doing this if you ever do it. All right? Now, here we go. Right in here. We're going to want to go boom right along this line, because we want to leave the white for the eyes. And his eyes are always sad, puppy dog eye looking eyes, okay? And that makes the white come out and pop out where it turned his actual eyes to stone. It leaves enough white in there to make them look like eyeballs. And look at the angle he's looking at you, and he looks like the sick puppy dog look, right? That's what we want, okay? We want that pouting puppy dog look thing going on. Now this is a C0. You can't see this right off the bat until it dries, but then it will look actually like smoke, which I love that look. It will look exactly like smoke. And then you take the N1, which is the neutral, and go right at the bottom of your smoke like this. Just kind of streak it in there, just to kind of mix onto that 0 a little bit, like that. You feather it in, and it'll dry solid. I mean, I know you can see it when it streaks like this when it's wet, but the thing is it'll dry smooth. Just kind of brush it on like that. and you'll get that smoky effect. Now, I'm going to go back to that E99 that we did the brown shading with. I'm going to go right in here, and we want to mark this real heavy. Just a good clean stroke will do it. Don't press hard, because then you'll flood your ink and you'll run over your lines. And another thing, if you guys are using Copics, be sure, and every time you do like 2 or 3 strokes, rotate your pen. Use the alternate sides of that brush, because that way it'll balance it back out. And it'll, you know, if you go this way, you know, a few strokes, flip it over and go the other direction to bring it back to center, so you don't beat down your tips. That'll save your nibs. I have a really bright yellow in here, and I put it up somewhere. I wanted to show that. Yeah, there it is. Cool deal. Now this is a true yellow. This is yellow 06. This is almost a highlighter yellow that looks perfect for a flame, because it's really bright and staunched. So it's like pungent. Then you come back in with the I like to use the yellow 17 again, so it contrasts with Ben. Right here around your cooler spots, you put it around the outside like that, where it's cooled down, and it gives it that nice warm glow. And then to contrast, I have this bright orange. It's YR07. This gives you that hot spot right around the edge. And it's always hottest towards the center when you work with something like this. A cigarette or a cigar, it's always hottest towards the center, so leave that open. Because if you don't, it'll look funky. And that's a technical term, by the way. And when this dries, it'll dry a lot softer. So it'll be a really cool effect. And I want to go back in with that N1. Now that it's set a little bit, I want to go back on this M1 and go down here to the bottom where the most heat is and the thickest part of the smoke would be, and go back down into the center and pop it up a little more. There we go. Cool deal. And right under here on these teeth, because he has big refrigerator teeth since he turned to rock, put a little bit of an accent there. And that is it. I'm going to leave that as is. That is Ben Grimm. I'm going to leave the white trim around there. I'm not going to mess with it. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for hanging out with me for the last 30 minutes or so. I hope you guys appreciate what I'm doing, and keep it going on, because I definitely appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. Catch you next time. Until then, leave this big rock of dirt better than you found it. You know, get it going, man. Push it up there, share it with somebody, and say hey, and do your thing. But if you can make somebody feel better about life, you're doing your job. And just a cool one here. Check this out. I'm going to put a little bit of a nib of warm 2 right here in the bottom of this. It's a warm gray 2. I'm going to check it out by making it look a little more smoky, like a cigar. Adding that little bit of a brownish hue to it, because the warms always have a brownish tint to them. If you add in just a little bit more, it'll make it pop and look more like cigar smoke rather than cigarette smoke, which is a little lighter and a little grayer. So anyway, take care. Talk to you next time. Thanks.